Hey, welcome back to part 2 of our Pivoting Your Business series. We kind of just made this up on the fly. This was initially supposed to be one video, but as you could tell from our last video, there is so much to cover in terms of creating incredible transformation for your business. And so in the last video, part 1, if you didn't catch that, you can click here to watch that. That's already posted, and I covered 4 incredible transformations, plus a little bit about my own, if I may, and you can kind of see what transformation and a really strong pivot would look like in your real estate business. But in this video, we are diving into exactly how we are going to help you accomplish it in 3 easy steps. So the first thing that we're going to do is analyze the numbers. Anytime you're trying to make a really big business decision in terms of where you're investing your time and money, it has to be a data-based decision. So oftentimes we want to make emotional decisions without even really thinking about it. So we get really excited about a new product or a shiny object that's dangled in front of us, like maybe a new lead source or some kind of internet program that is giving you surefire leads, right? That can feel really exciting, especially if you have been distracted over the last year, or if you have kind of fallen short of the goals that you had set for yourself. Now, making decisions from a strong data mindset really has to start with actually tracking your numbers. And a lot of times I get pushback on this from agents saying it feels tedious to track their numbers, or why can't they just log their leads in a CRM and be done with it? But the fact of the matter is, think about what it is you're working towards. If you're working towards creating a business that can generate $100,000 in revenue, $250,000 or $750,000 in revenue, why would you not be willing to do the very basic minimum as a business owner that you should be doing to set yourself up on the trajectory to be able to hit those goals? Just maybe a little personal rant of mine. I'm hearing a lot of pushback when it comes to numbers and spreadsheets things. So I just think that it's really important to understand why we need to do this. You have to make these decisions from a data-driven mindset. And the first way we're going to do that is by analyzing the numbers, and you have to gather your metrics. Now, luckily for you, if you have already gone through the process of our business planning videos that we shared in the last 2 videos, you will already have your numbers dialed in. So here are a few of the metrics that we kind of want to take a look at first. We're going to look at where your strongest lead sources are, meaning how many leads are coming from the most common lead sources, what your conversion metrics are there, so your conversion rate, how long it takes to convert those leads. This is what I call the maturation rate. So from the moment you have generated the lead to the moment you've closed them, how many days on average is that per lead source? This is going to vary per lead source. And what is your most common ROI for these different lead sources? How much money are you spending, right? So if this is coming from any kind of a marketing effort that is requiring investment, what is the ROI on these individual lead sources? So a really well-rounded real estate business will have a minimum of 3 solid lead sources, a maximum of 7. You need to find these metrics on each of these lead sources and look at the numbers. What are we finding there? Are there any surprises? Are you really low in conversion rate on any of these, or really low on price point in some of them? One thing that I really found in terms of our big shift was one of our strongest lead sources had a 35% referral split, and across the board, it was the lowest price point on average in the most competitive segment of the market at the time. And so the leads that we were spending the most amount of time with were the lowest ROI in terms of time and money back. And so that made it really simple to say, listen, we need to really break away from this lead source that's taking a lot of our time and attention and move towards something like Instagram that had a 0% investment, really quick maturation in terms of 6 to 9 months between the time that we were generating leads to closing them. At the time, it was about 6 months. That's pretty average for the real estate sales cycle if you're tracking your numbers right. And they were our highest price point buyers and sellers. That made it a very easy shift, even though it felt more simple to stay with the less effective lead source because we were getting quicker turnaround there because they had a lower maturation rate. So just from asking yourself a few questions there, you can kind of see what's working, what's not, what can I eliminate, what can I double down in. Now, that's a really good place to kind of iterate on the plan that you've been working on, right? So let's not change anything yet. Let's see what has been working on, fine tune that, and then add stuff later. So when we're adding stuff, that's going to lead us to number 2, which is identify your shifts. Now, as a new agent or as an agent who's just not happy with your lead source setup, this is your opportunity to identify new market segments to tap into. Now, this is one of the really great parts of being in a cyclical industry, right? Like, our market is cyclical, and there are always going to be, for lack of a better word, winners or losers. I don't know if that's really the word that I'm looking for, but there's always going to be a buyer's market and a seller's market. Sometimes we'll be somewhere in the middle, but for the most part, there are going to be segments of the market who have more urgent and important needs than others. And so our job as real estate agents is to really understand what those segments of the market are and figure out ways to identify their most urgent, painful problems and create really unique solutions for them. Now, one example that I really like to share is the baby boomer market segment. So one of the largest segments of the population who are transitioning housing are the baby boomers, who are downsizing or selling their homes altogether, selling any investment homes that they would have had in their portfolio, and moving to a more lock and leave lifestyle or assisted care living, or even moving in with their family. Now, this is a huge segment of inventory in the market that is changing hands, right? And so if you can identify whether there's a really strong segment of those types of individuals in your market, in your geographical area, and if you can identify specifically what their highest needs are and whether or not you have the tools necessary to provide really incredible results for them, maybe that is a segment that we look to breaking into in the next couple of years. I was actually talking to Lindsay earlier, and one market segment that she's looking to break into is her farm, right? So maybe sometimes it's not so much of a demographic market segment, maybe it's a geographic market segment. And she recognized that in the area where she lives, works, and plays, there's not one dominant listing agent. And so she has identified this entire farm, her neighborhood. She's got herself on the neighborhood committee, and she is dialing in a really incredible farming strategy to tap into the potential to hopefully become more of a listing agent in her area. So you can see, like, this is one of the cool things about real estate. You know, all of our businesses are going to look totally different depending on who we are, where we work, and what's available to us in terms of opportunities. So again, this is a little bit of your responsibility to identify what those opportunities might look like for you specifically, and then reverse engineer a plan to position yourself as an authority for those market segments. So now, again, the really cool thing about being a part of the Market Authority Academy, I might say, is we have this awesome group and camaraderie of like-minded agents who are really adept at finding these opportunities and then collaborating with others in the group to see if that might be a potential for them as well. So if you haven't yet, again, as I say, make sure that you check out all the details below and see if the Market Authority Academy is a good fit for you. I'm working with agents across all experience levels to really help create this incredible transformation for them. And if it's something that you're into, I would love to chat. So now that we have identified what has been working for us and what we want to kind of stop doing in step one, after analyzing the numbers, and we've identified new things that we want to incorporate in step two in terms of identifying new market segments, we have to tie it all in with our prospecting and marketing strategy. What this really comes down to is having a really strong branding and marketing plan, which is something that we go all into in the Market Authority Academy. We have specific modules dedicated both to marketing and to branding, because remember, the branding is like the story. It's the who you serve, the where you do it, the what makes you unique kind of situation, that language. And then the marketing plan is the vehicle that distributes that story across the channels where you're marketing yourself, whether on or off social media. So if we're looking at the first portion of our business, the stuff that has already been working, you have some combination of your existing database, so the group of people who you know, like, and trust. You are going to have a really tight annual marketing plan for your database. The way that you speak to people who already know you, like you, and trust you is different from how we attract new buyers and sellers who have not had a first impression yet with our business, like social media marketing or farming might look, right? So definitely you want to be making sure that you have a really strong 12-month plan in terms of how you are showing up to your database. This might look like a combination of monthly newsletters, engaging with all of your database contacts on social media on the platforms where they most likely frequent, maybe even a really strong gifting campaign to past clients, etc. We actually kind of broke down a lot of this in this video, our WOW client workflows, where I show you exactly step by step how to break these down. So definitely check that out if you haven't yet. That'll help you put a little bit of these pieces in place. Likewise, you're gonna have to detail your prospecting metrics that you're wanting to hit, right? So again, back to Lindsay's example, if she was going out there and just wanting to double the amount of production she was doing still within open houses, she knew that she had to generate the same amount of leads, but convert twice as many of them through better follow-up. So again, you're just tracking how many leads your target lead generation is going to be month over month. And you have to really dial in that system of how you're following up with them, tightening up your buyer consultation, your seller presentation, all of that stuff really has to be tightened in. So that's just a numbers game at that point, and understanding how many contacts you want to make each week and each month, and tracking how many of those ultimately end up convert to appointments and deals so that you can scale from there. Now, the marketing plan in terms of your new market segment is going to look different depending on what it is. So if you're farming, what's the plan? Are you going to go with like an 8-week every weekly mailer and then month to month after that? Are you going to do quarterly events? Are you going to just door knock once a month, right? Just figure out what this needs to look like for you. It doesn't have to be any one way, and there's really no secret sauce in terms of the way that you might be, for example, farming or tackling a new segment of the market. But what's really important is the consistency. So this is why it makes sense to plan out how you want that to look. Take a couple of hours to sketch it out and then commit to doing it. So maybe at that point you're scheduling it in Asana or making a little appointment for yourself on your calendar every week to make sure that you're completing those tasks, and then tracking the numbers that you're able to gather from there, so that when we undertake this process this time next year, you have a lot of data to make even more fine-tuned pivots in your business. And I am telling you, at some point, this just becomes a numbers game, and you don't have any crushing overwhelm. You don't have to deal with these lame guessing games and, flying by the seat of your pants. If you are tracking your numbers properly, pivots are very simple because you have the leading measure and the lagging measure. And at that point, you're like a little scientist, like just pulling on levers until you get the outcome that you're looking for. Now, I'm just going to do one more shameless plug, because you can either do this as a DIY approach, or you can let me help you do it with all of my proven systems that are plug and play for your business. I've already done all this work for you. So if you want to learn how you can implement these strategies into your existing real estate business to pivot to massive transformation next year, then I invite you to book a call with me. We'll hop on a quick, 15, 20, 30-minute call, however long it takes, strategize a little bit about where your business is today and where you want to be, and we'll decide if working together in the Market Authority Academy is what's going to take you to that next level. Really hope you enjoyed this video. I thought that this was actually a lot of fun, and I hope that it resonated with you as well. And if it did, be sure to hit subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification icon, because what that does is allows us not only to stay in touch with each other, but it also helps this channel impact other real estate agents in the industry who are looking for this kind of content and who also need this help, right? And if you've ever found value from my content, doing that really truly helps me continue to bring you value week after week. So definitely please help me out by hitting that subscribe button, and even, maybe leaving a comment, a little high five, maybe hitting that like button, see where the fancy takes you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, keep on crushing it.